The odds that 3 normal adults of average health will drop dead over the course of the same year are 0.0028%. Pretty low. But that's exactly what happened to 3 Kevin Spacey accusers over the course of the year 2019. In March, a woman named Linda Culkin mysteriously died in a car accident. In September, a massage therapist died suddenly. And in December, a Norwegian royal family member committed suicide. Now, apart from the fact that these happened, if we look at the circumstances, potential motive, and the results/benefits of these deaths, what truth is there that they were suspicious? Although in each of the deaths a great deal of information was unfortunately withheld from public record, I'm still going to say we have enough information to call coincidence. In tonight's Fireside Chiller, we are going to take a deep dive into the 3 Kevin Spacey accuser deaths and look at the details surrounding each one to determine whether or not there's cause or grounds for suspicion. Now, I just want to tell you, I'm not a particular fan of Kevin Spacey as a human being. I don't know more about him than any of you guys do, and I absolutely love him as an actor, but my point is that I don't really have a horse in this race or any cause or reason to defend his name. Even more so, I love conspiracy theories. I support them, even if they don't have justification in fact or evidence. Although I won't spread them, I really like the fact that they exist and that people think them, if for no other reason than because we're not supposed to. Before we get into the deaths of Kevin Spacey's accusers, please take a moment to subscribe, like, or leave a comment to this video. It helps our YouTube channel, but it also really helps our real life business, which is a brick and mortar sightseeing tour company that gives murder tours around Los Angeles using funeral limousines. If you're not local and can't take a tour, go to our website and get a really awesome piece of merch and then feel like you did take a tour. As you know, beginning in late 2017, a string of accusations were launched against actor Kevin Spacey, beginning with actor Anthony Rapp. But they snowballed and they became very out of control for Kevin very quickly. He was fired from his job at Netflix and then was internationally more or less canceled over the next several years. The 2025 documentary Spacey Unmasked didn't help Kevin's case very much, and it actually added a bunch of new accusations to the arena. We're going to examine the details of these deaths in the context that they occurred through the series of accusations against Kevin, which began in late 2017, and use logic and timelines and intuition to try and fill in whether or not these deaths were suspicious. Norwegian author and member of the royal family, Ari Behn, committed suicide in December of 2018 on Christmas Day. A year before that, he had given an interview to Norwegian talk radio in which he mentioned having been groped once by Kevin Spacey about a year before that at a gala event for the Nobel Prize Awards. He actually was pretty casual and laid back about the accusation and even said, "I didn't see it as sexual harassment. For me, it was a compliment." But apart from this mention, he didn't file any kind of accusations or indictment, and he didn't seem to pursue it any further. The reason that people seem to think that his death was suspicious is because it occurred a day after Kevin Spacey released one of his really weird, creepy Frank Underwood Christmas YouTube videos, and the one he released that year was called "Kill Them with Kindness." While details of Ben's death have not been released by the family, it is pretty reasonable to think that if somebody did want to assassinate a high-level royal, it would not be that easy, especially living in another country. On top of that, Ben did suffer a lifetime of depression. He lived in Scandinavia, where there is a huge level of suicides, and his breakout novel when he became known as an author was literally entitled Sad as Hell. 3 months prior to this, an anonymous massage therapist who called himself John Doe released allegations of an incident in which he was assaulted by Kevin Spacey during a massage. According to the court filing, Spacey had hired him to come give a massage on location in December of 2016. During the massage, Kevin opened up the room to a guest residence and locked the two of them in, after which he disrobed. When Kevin was told by the massage therapist to lie face down, he opted to lie face up. And when the massage began, Kevin brought the massage therapist's hands to his genitals, making him touch his testicles, scrotum, and penis. Right after that, Kevin looked up at him and said, "You have such beautiful eyes," and then grabbed him and brought him inward to try and force a kiss while groping the massage therapist's genitalia. The massage therapist fled. Nearly a year later, the massage therapist passed away, mysteriously. We don't know the cause of death. We don't even know his name. We don't have his age or the circumstances under which he died, but we do know that right after he died, the court case was dropped. Now, it doesn't help Kevin's case that this was the only remaining criminal case that was outstanding against Kevin, which meant that he had no more chances of going to jail. But apart from that, it is pretty hard to see how Kevin would have materially benefited from the massage therapist's death in any other way. First of all of the allegations that had begun to snowball were well into play by December of 2018. Furthermore, in January of 2019, when New York passed the Child Victims Act, that suddenly made it possible for previous accusers whose statute of limitations against Kevin had expired to come forward with allegations, and that was 9 months before the massage therapist's death. On top of that, there were 6 open investigations into Kevin in the UK going on at the time. Did the massage therapist's death benefit Kevin? Of course. Did the massage therapist's death benefit Kevin significantly? Probably not. Did the massage therapist's death change the course of the allegations and Kevin Spacey's fate in his fight against all of these sexual harassment accusations? Not at all. Kevin still had many court cases that he was anticipating, and he had a number of court cases that he was fighting and investigations, and those had to be fought by Kevin and his lawyers in person, no excuses. Now, of all the suspicious Kevin Spacey accusation deaths, the most suspicious and dramatic one was Linda Culkin, who died back in March of 2019. Linda Culkin was a nurse from the Boston area, although she and Kevin did not have any kind of documented relationship or proof of having met. Between the years 2009 to 2010, Culkin obsessively stalked and cyberbullied Kevin, and she sent him 20 instances of correspondence, one of which included an envelope filled with white powder that looked like it was anthrax, although it wasn't. Her MO was to use burner accounts from the public library or her neighbor's house, with which she would then create email addresses and start Twitter handles that she used exclusively to terrorize and cyberbully and stalk Kevin all day long and all night. Some of the tweets that she ended up sending him said things like, Linda was going to kill Kevin and then commit suicide, that Kevin was only still alive because Linda has been allowing him to live, and that Kevin could soon expect to receive in the mail a bomb and some anthrax. When the police searched Linda's apartment, they ended up finding a number of really disturbing items. Among them was a photo of Kevin with all of the eyes and the mouth scribbled out aggressively and his name repeatedly scrawled in the margins. On the back of the photo, there read a very strange looking list that said, blacken the eyes, write his name 6 times, all connected, cross no T's, dot no I's, fold it twice, and put it in your pocket. Dove's blood, sew up mouth. They also found a bunch of copies of one piece of paper with the word "killing Kevin Spacey" in the upper left-hand corner. The papers were found with about 17 other instances of letters of Kevin appearing on the internet, one of them saying that people would put him 6 feet under and really meant to kill him. Finally, there was also a library slip from a book found in Linda's apartment that was about John Wayne Gacy, the killer from Chicago who murdered 33 young boys and buried them in his crawl space. The thing about Linda is that there is actually no real evidence that she was a whistleblower or an accuser. The reason that we think that is because after her death, in the Hollywood Reporter, there was an article which casually mentioned that she once had a patient who told her that he had been assaulted sexually by Kevin. However, there's no evidence or citation of this information anywhere to be found, and on top of that, there's no record of the tweet that Linda sent Kevin to claim such a statement. Based on her character, it's hard to know, even if she said something like this, how truthful it was. What we do know is that Kevin ended up filing criminal charges against Culkin, and she was actually sentenced to 51 months in jail and sentenced to pay him $124,000. At her sentencing, Linda said, "I have some mental health issues. I was overzealous. I copped to that. I fully apologized to him. I didn't mean it to be so harsh." Almost a year after she was released from prison, Culkin was crossing an intersection in Quincy, Massachusetts that was pretty complicated and very busy. Despite having a no walk sign, Linda stepped into the crosswalk and was hit by oncoming traffic. The car which hit her swiped so hard to try to avoid her that they ended up having a head-on collision with the car in the lane next to them. Although authorities would rule that Linda's death was an accident, a number of tabloids and internet publications speculated falsely that a murder investigation had been opened, although this was not the case. The question is, given what we know about Linda and her past, is it at all possible that she could have made a fatal mistake of stepping into the crosswalk when it was a no-walk sign? That's more than likely the case because of all of the Kevin Spacey accuser deaths, Linda's was the one that basically benefited him zero. She had already been to prison. Her accusation only came out after she had passed away, and like Ari Behn, she had no court case or allegations or formal indictment pending against Kevin. So really, her death didn't do anything to further his situation. Now, it's tempting with someone like Kevin Spacey, who is an iconic public figure and has also played an iconic villain, to want to draw connections between circumstances and events that might not actually be real connections. Kevin Spacey was Me Too'd. Kevin Spacey also played a murderous crook for many years on a hit television show. Is it possible that Kevin may have confused himself with his character more than once in real life and allowed himself to cross lines that he probably shouldn't, especially with regards to sexual harassment? Yes, I think that that's a fair, reasonable statement. Is it also likely, however, that Kevin took liberties to murder somebody that he found inconvenient in the same way that Frank Underwood did? It's possible. I wouldn't say it's likely, but it's very likely for us to assume it's likely because we, as a loving audience, might confuse Kevin with Frank Underwood. As we said in the beginning, it's unlikely, highly unlikely, that of 15 accusers, 3 of them would pass away in a year. But let's adjust that number now that we've been through the details. Were there 3 accusers, or were there 2 and a proxy accuser? I would say Linda Culkin is not technically an accuser because she was accusing Kevin on behalf of someone else, and on top of that, we don't even really have validation or verification that her accusation was real. On top of that, there were not just 15 accusers. There were 15 main accusers in the first few months of the allegations. But later on into the witch hunt, over 50 people came forward with allegations against Spacey. So the fraction slightly revises itself to 2 out of over 50 people dying in the span of a year. That's a much more likely event to happen than 3 out of 15. In fact, if you have a group of 50 people that are of average health and a normal distribution, it's very likely that either 0 or 1 of them is going to die in the course of a year. Having 2 of them die clocks in at about 2.5% likelihood, which is not that likely, but it's also not out of the realm of the possible and something that could totally have happened by chance. I think that poor Kevin is just a little too easy for us to hate on. But before we go attributing things to him like hired hits, maybe we should wait to ensure that we see any kind of benefit to him, like career advancement or new films from these deaths having occurred. Thanks for joining this week's Fireside Chiller. As always, please subscribe to your LA Crimes delivery for free at graveline.rip. Check out our merch at our website at the description below. Come tour with us the next time that you're in LA. If you don't live in LA, then buy a shirt so you can pretend you tour with us. And above all, remember, you only die once.